Good day everyone, I am Ellona and in this lesson we will talk about environmental problems. Now the first problem that we are going to discuss is all about the greenhouse effect. What is it, what's causing it, and why does it matter? Now try to look at this picture. Are you familiar with this building or nakakita na ba kayo neto in person? So this is what we called a greenhouse. So greenhouse is a structure with walls and roof made of transparent materials such as plastic or glass in which crops are grown under controlled environment condition. So greenhouse are designed for the protection of plants against excessive cold or heat. So this building is very important in agriculture, horticulture, and for botanical science. So our farmer also use this greenhouse to grow fruits, vegetables, flowers, and any other plants that require special conditions of temperature. How does greenhouse work? Okay, so the greenhouse are made of glass or plastic sheet that allows light rays from the sun to enter the greenhouse. So the plants inside the greenhouse absorb the light rays and converted it to heat. So when the plants release the heat energy, it is trapped by the glass and the greenhouse stays warm. So this is how a greenhouse keeps plant warm at night. The greenhouse effect keeps the earth warm in the same way. The greenhouse effect is a process that occurs when gases in Earth's atmosphere trap the sun's heat. Earth is surrounded by invisible gases that form a thin protective blanket we call as the atmosphere. Now, in the daytime, solar energy from the sun passes through the atmosphere, warming Earth's surface. Now, some of energy is absorbed and some of energy is reflected back into the space. So, but some of the heat is trapped by the gases into the atmosphere. And these heat trapping gases are called as the greenhouse gases or the GHG. So, greenhouse gases are gases in the Earth's atmosphere that trap heat. We have here carbon dioxide, water vapor, and methane. So all of these three gases are example of greenhouse gases. So planet Earth needs a balance of greenhouse gases to maintain the right temperature for living things. But some of human activities are changing the natural greenhouse effect. So how does humans impacting the greenhouse effect? So human activities are changing Earth's natural greenhouse effect. Burning fossil fuels like coal and oil puts more carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. So the major factor here that affects the greenhouse effect is the burning of fossil fuel. In the last century, human activities such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation have caused a jump in the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and the result is extra trapped heat and higher global temperatures. So we have here two scenarios. The first one is greenhouse effect with normal greenhouse gases and greenhouse effect with increased greenhouse gases. So let's start first here in the left side. So solar radiation coming from the sun is absorbed by land, oceans, and atmosphere that warms the planet. So some of the heat is radiated back into space as infrared light. As some heat continues into space while the rest, trapped by greenhouse gases, help maintain the planet's relatively comfortable temperature. So in this case, there is a less gas which only means less heat trapped in the atmosphere. While here in the right side, there is an increase of greenhouse gases, which means less heat escapes. So kapag marami ang greenhouse gases sa atmosphere, some of the energy do not reflect back into the space. Kaya ang nangyayari, nagkakaroon tayo ng higher global temperature. So between pre-industrial times and now, the Earth's average temperature has risen to 1.8 degree Fahrenheit or 1.0 degree Celsius. Higher temperature has something to do with global warming. So global warming is a gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere, generally attributed to the greenhouse effect caused by increased levels of carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons, and other pollutants. So here are the predicted consequences of global warming: in biodiversity, extinction of some plant and animal species, loss of habitats, and disruption of aquatic life. So here in weather, possible na magkaroon tayo ng heat waves and droughts, increased flooding, and more intense hurricanes, typhoons, tornadoes, and violent storms. While in agriculture, shifts in food growing areas, changes in crop yields, increases pests, crop diseases, and weeds in warmer areas. While sa water resources, changes in water supply, decreased water quality, and increased drought. Another predicted consequences of global warming: in forests, change in forest composition and locations, disappearance of some forests, increased fires from dying, loss of wildlife habitat and species. In human population, increased deaths, more environmental refugees, and increased migration. Predicted consequences of global warming in the sea level and coastal areas: rising sea levels, beach erosion, disruption of coastal fisheries, contamination of coastal aquifers with salt water, and lastly, we have here consequences of global warming in human health: increased deaths from heat and disease, disruption of food and water supplies, increased respiratory disease, and lastly, increased water pollution from coastal flooding.
The Earth is what we all have in common, according to Wendell Berry, a novelist. So, which is true, no matter where you come from, your background, history, economic status, and etc., we all share this planet. And each and every one of us should take an action in solving this environmental problem. There's no planet B, so we must take care of our planet.
Good day everyone, I am Ellona and we're going to discuss the second environmental problem, which is the acid rain. Now what is acid rain? Acid rain or acid deposition is a broad term that includes any form of precipitation with acidic components such as sulfuric and nitric acid that fall to the ground from the atmosphere in wet or dry forms. Acid rain has a pH between 4.2 and 4.4. So as the name implies, it is a type of precipitation that contains high level of nitric and sulfuric acid. Now, the forms of acid deposition can be divided into two. The first one is wet deposition and the second one is dry deposition. So here in wet deposition, acidic materials falls from the atmosphere to the ground in wet form, like rain, snow, fog, or hail. So wet deposition is what we most commonly think of as acid rain. While here in dry deposition, acidic particles and gases deposit from the atmosphere in the absence of moisture. Now, how do we measure the level of acid in the precipitation? So we use the pH scale. So measuring the level of acidity will be further discussed by Mr. Cherry Lares in the next lesson. Acidity and alkalinity are measured using a pH scale for which 7 is neutral. So less than 7 is already considered as acidic, while greater than 7, it is also considered as alkaline. Causes of acid rain. So acid rain results when sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides are emitted into the atmosphere and transported by wind and air currents. So the sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide reacts with water, oxygen, and other chemicals to form sulfuric and nitric acid. Now we have here two major causes of acid rain. We have natural sources and human sources. So in natural sources, emission from volcanoes and from biological processes that occur on the land, in wetlands, and in the ocean contribute acid-producing gases to the atmosphere. Next, the principal cause of acid rain is from human sources like coal, burning power plants, factories, and automobiles. So when humans burn fossil fuel, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide are released into the atmosphere. So those air pollutants react with water, oxygen, and other substances to form airborne sulfuric and nitric acid. Now we are going to discuss how acid rain form. So sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide undergo a process called oxidation, and then they react with water, resulting in the formation of sulfuric acid and nitric acid. Try to look at this picture. This image illustrates the pathway for acid rain in our environment. So here, the emission of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide are released into the air. So where the pollutants are transformed into acid particles that may be transported in the long distances. Now, these acid particles then fall to the earth as wet and dry deposition. It may be in the form of dust, rain, snow, and etc. So this may cause harmful effects on soil, forests, streams, and lakes. Next is the effects of acid rain. So acid rain is very harmful to agriculture, plants, animals, and even in human health. So you will find out here how acid rain affects the agriculture, plants, animals, and even us humans. The first one is the effects on building. So acid rain in the air react with calcium carbonate or marble and makes yellow in color. So yung makikita niyo dito yung building, naging color yellow siya. So that is because of acid rain. Next is the effects on aquatic life. So acid rain decrease the pH level of water. So kapag mababa ang pH level, namamatay yung mga fishes and other marine life. Next is the effects on monuments. So acid rain damages the statues, monuments, tombstone, and made of stones and metals. So kung mapupunta kayo sa mga sementeryo, 'di ba? Mapapansin nyo parang nawawala na yung mga nakaukit na name dun sa tombstone. So ito dahil yun sa acid rain. Next is effects on human health. So air pollution like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides can cause respiratory diseases or can make these diseases worse. Respiratory diseases like asthma or chronic bronchitis make it hard for people to breathe. Next is the effects on forests. So acid rain can be extremely harmful to forests. Acid rain that seeps into the ground can dissolve nutrients such as magnesium and calcium that trees need to be healthy. So it washes away all nutrients which are required for the growth and survival of plants. Now, what can be done? So, first one is reducing pollution. So, we may use coal that contains less sulfur, wash the coal to remove some of the sulfur, and power plant that can also install equipments called scrubbers. We can also use other sources of energy. People can use renewable energy sources such as solar and wind power. Renewable energy sources help reduce acid rain because they produce much less pollution. Next is cleaner cars. Cars and trucks are major sources of the pollutants that cause acid rain. Therefore, car manufacturers are required to reduce the amount of nitrogen oxide and other pollutants released by new cars.